Hello, everyone. So wonderful to be here. And we may have, let's see how it goes. We may have more time for just some kind of conversational time. Um, but what I really wanted to bring forward was this idea of vocation. I guess we've been having these meetings, on Tuesdays here, and in a lot of what's going on in this time. And and part of my worry is that we make a certain time extraordinary, and it's like saying I'm going to lose weight, and I decide to go on a great big diet, and I've got all these plans, and I'm just going to end it, and then it's going to be good, right? And almost always those type of diets fail us, right? In the end, even if we make a big push and we do it for a couple weeks or a month, we start taking it back slowly, right? Um, so this idea of habit patterns, and really thinking about things over the course of a lifetime, knowing that we don't know how long or short that lifetime might be, and really utilizing this moment, which for some may have bringing us more space, but certainly has brought a heightened awareness, I think, to our lives, to try and really think about how we root in some practices or some orientations that are going to carry with us, right? And then there's another dimension to why I want to concentrate on vocation here, is that this is my own intuition, and others, uh, comrades and colleagues that I've been with have had similar, is that we're maybe entering a time here where there will actually be more support for new structures, um, cosmically speaking. That we've been going through a lot of time of seeing the limits of our current structures, of deconstructing a lot of those, seeing the issues and problems. So we bring a greater awareness, especially of certain social inequalities and socio-political structures. Um, and also perhaps a certain kind of naivete, but a very important one that we grew into, as we began to, in this country, in the United States, receive wisdom from different religious traditions and become very diverse, kind of feeling of unity and everything is one, and a lot of theories, and that's all true. Um, but I think maybe there's a time where we're kind of getting over a hump here of being able to really hold radical difference and think about right relationship and think about our lives in a little more complex ways. And in the future, I think it really is, as we come out of this crisis, a time to um, start to really build new structures. And it's my belief that spirit and is going to be supporting us in doing that in a new way, in kind of a new phase. And so that brings us to the question of vocation, vocare, or what am I called to? Vocare is a calling, right? It's a calling to serve. And it's a call that answers our yearning to want to serve. So we want to think about vocation in that sense, and not as a particular thing that I do in my life. I am a teacher, or I am a priest, or I'm a social activist. That might be true. Um, but the practice of vocation is one we keep returning to over and over on a daily basis, on a larger basis, in the decisions we're making in our lives, checking in. What am I being called to? And there's a sense where this answer comes to us not in a straightforward way, but often in a sense of liminal space. Liminality was a term coined by Victor Turner in studying indigenous traditions, particularly in rituals around adolescence. As you went off for a vision quest, or were asked to spend time alone with the elder women, and you went through a kind of initiatory process that took you out of your current state of mind and then tried to reintegrate you back into a more communal way of life, into adulthood. And so this liminal space is the space of dreams. Um, it's a space of uncomfortableness often. We're not sure what will come up. And I think that is really the place that we have to learn to listen to vocation. So vocation is not just following what we're passionate about, or what makes us blissful, or what we think needs help or healing in the world, or even what we're good at and what our talents are. As I see it, vocation is really, it comes from a deep yearning to serve, to see a change in the world, um, from a recognition that I don't actually know how I can best serve. And I really take that in. If I think I know exactly what it is, then I'm no longer in this liminal space. And third, the answer comes not just purely from us. Um, we could also say from spirit, but also from the collective, that there's kind of a collective yearning to be served, by all of creation, by all of our human family, by everything on the earth. And so it's like we're putting out this yearning, how can I best serve? And then we really have to listen to the response that's coming back. It may be something we've known all our life, or it may be something we've never thought of before. And it's like, that's crazy. How could I be called to that? And I just think this is a really important time to be tuning into that, because coming out of this crisis, it may be one of the times in our lives where we really root in what we're doing. We know this is what we do, or we're called to take a chance on something different, but to position ourselves in places where we can be most effective, and really serve in the greatest way possible. And then we trust that there's an intelligence in life and in the world that wants us in that position, that knows us, more than we know ourselves, right? The spirit knows every hair on our head, but that has this access not just to our deepest longings and our gifts and our uniqueness, but everyone else's and everything in creation. And then is trying to figure out what are the positions, what are the places where we can be most effective. And so we really learn to live into this kind of calling as a lifestyle, right? As a practice that never leaves us and could take us on all sorts of different journeys and different phases in our life. So I think what I want to do is just a kind of very brief practice of this, and we'll just kind of see where it takes us. It's based on an old monastic practice called Collatio, that was often done in the evenings before you would go to bed, and involved some sacred scripture, but really reading it in a way where we allow the spirit to kind of take us. So we're going to try and do a mini 5-minute one here. So first, I'm just going to ask us all to kind of take it in. Let's be quiet together for maybe 30 seconds here, and feel into not necessarily asking what can I do, but actually feel into this yearning to serve. And let's just spend about 30 seconds together in silence, feeling into our collective yearning to serve. Okay, we can kind of gently come back together. I can kind of feel us as a group a little bit now. So what I'm going to do, I just got this wonderful new book on Al-Hallaj. It's poems by him. He was an early Sufi mystic who was eventually killed, martyred, for declaring statements like, I am God and I have found God. And so just going to kind of open it. Again, it's a way of kind of playing with this liminal space. And what we'll do is I'll read the poem. And then what I would like you guys to do the first time I read it is go ahead and feel free to unmute yourselves. And once I finish reading, if just a word or a phrase strikes you, just go ahead and speak it. Speak it out, speak it into the air. No comment, nothing that. It can just be a single word or a phrase and just come off like popcorn. We don't have a ton of time, so. Vision of the end. When the whisper came of the funeral and the wedding, I saw the garden and the fire, the angels and the throne. So go ahead, I'll read it one more time, and then do please just bring your voice in, something that comes up or a word that struck you. When the whisper came of the funeral and the wedding, I saw the garden and the fire, the angels and the throne.
The whisper came.
A lifetime. Whisper.
The funeral and the wedding.
Hope
Whisper.
for the world.
Whisper.
When the whisper.
Okay.
Whisper. Funeral.
Okay, a lot of whispers.
Mm-hmm.
So let's read it one more time, and then and then we'll just kind of move into a mutual dialogue and just kind of say, so feel free to speak or ask a question, what it brought up for you, what image came. You can talk about if it speaks to something in your life, and we'll just see where it takes us. When the whisper came of the funeral and the wedding, I saw the garden and the fire, the angels and the throne. So feel free to come forward with what it's bringing up for you.
My heart feels full. I'm moved by this. Now the word garden came out because I have time to work in my garden now. My mom died 2 months ago, and my sisters and I cared for her for 3.5 years. And I got to be with her for the last 5 days. And it was such a gift.
Mm-hmm.
So I could have said funeral and wedding because I feel a great deal of peace, joy, and satisfaction and gratitude for having her as my mom and being able to care for her. So I'm really kind of raw.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just beginning to cry because I've had so much to do. So thank you for just hearing me.
Mm-hmm. Thank you so much for sharing.
I don't think my name came up. I think this is my, you all know my, my Zoom password now because I didn't know how to get here. My name is Carla. So nice to meet you all.
Carla, so nice to have you with us.
Thank you.
Thank you, and prayers and blessings on the healing and gratefulness for what it sounds like, the amazing time that you did spend with your mom, which I'm sure was very healing for her in her transition. Yeah.
Rory, just a reminder on time, if we'd like to transition to questions about mentorship.
Yeah. So it's kind of a question time and what comes up, and we can kind of play it as both for our last 5 minutes here. So if you want to ask a question or have a comment or just something on the practice, please bring it forward. Linda, I think you're muted. Maybe remember to unmute ourselves.
Rory, what I'm really keen to ask of you, and I'm not expecting a simple, tidy answer, is what I feel is like a burning desire to rub against you on is how to keep, in a sense, the fire I perceive and experience in you about how to nurture individual, ordinary folks' capacity to hear the whisper and to see the garden and the fire. I'm a Catholic woman, so I'm going to use Catholic language. The laity is either going to embrace what is ours to do by leaning into people like yourselves and Matt Wright and the wealth that's being offered to us on these Tuesdays, or we're going to get lost when we quote unquote return. How do you personally find yourself able to nurture the fire that's in all of us, to engage with the love of creation, and to be radical witnesses?
Wonderful question. Thank you. I would say, I mean, I tend to be a little bit of a stickler. I think you have to have a disciplined practice. That's why I'm not willing to kind of just take it as a big moment and this is bringing things to light, but it's also the same world it was before and it's going to be after. So taking the time now, maybe as we gain a little awareness to really commit to that nurturing. And in a sense, whatever it looks like, this idea of vocation and following it, it's not, this may be a couple days, a week, months, it could be years, it could be a decade that you're living into feeling like being in a vocation. And even then, that may change after a period of time or years. So we really have to nurture our fire, even when we're not feeling it, when we don't feel any fire. Yeah, that we just keep coming back to our practices. Is it Hafida?
Right, that's me.
Yeah.
For me, this has been something that's by profession. I'm a minister in the United Church of Christ and also in the Unitarian Universalist Association. But for the last year and a half or so, my husband and I have been talking about how it is that we do our ministry and where. And we have consciously made the decision to live apart and do our ministry, but also to, I don't want to say hermits or anything like that, but to live into this whispering, because all of it's been a whispering, to be where we are in different spaces. It doesn't make any sense somehow. But there is work that I need to do here in upstate New York, and there's work that he needs to do in Ohio, and how those things come together. It remains to be seen, but it's going on. So this whole idea of how I make my living is one thing, and what the kind of life that I'm called to live and offer in a fuller sense to the world is something else, and we're trying to figure this out. But thank you for that of vocation, like of thinking at it and what it looks like. Most couples live together, and but for us, this is good.
Yeah.
This is good.
Yeah. Thank you so much for sharing that. I feel like, a couple things come up for me. I feel like it's really important in this work of vocation to recognize that they look differently. Different people have different vocations, and that means if we really commit ourselves to this, it comes into all of our life decisions. What do our relationships look like? What do our financial security look like? And it takes a lot of trust, a lot of trust to keep listening to the whispering when we feel like we really want to do something, but it's not quite ready, right? And then on other times, we don't want to do something, but it's really pushing us, and that we have to really trust in it, not in an unreasonable way, but trust in the uniqueness of what those vocations look like. To be an activist in this way is not necessarily to just join a cause, but sacred activism, I think, is really growing into how you can best serve. And that, yeah. I thank you, everyone. They're going to kick us out here.
Thank you, Rory, and thank you,
It's so
everyone.
nice being with all of you. Yeah.